Yo, what's up? What's
What
up?
up? What up? What up? We all back.
We're back again. This the Clark brothers, Hev and Wes, and we are back here for another breakdown. And this is the segment that we call the original plan.
Yeah, we've been
Yes.
getting a lot of good feedback on it. Everybody's been loving it.
Yep.
And they tell us to keep it going. So we got to give the people what they
Again, what
want.
they want. Like we said before, we have a whole bunch of these, so we're gonna have a whole playlist of these that you could just watch and share, like and comment. Keep the comments coming. We want to get your theories on these because that's what's important. It's important to get the fans' theories, and then how the shows turn out is fine. But we want to give y'all the original plan this week
Right.
For the character of Kane. I think it's appropriate. You know, he's been popping up a lot in this new
Yeah. Kane
show.
recently has been a lot of focus. He's really stepped it up this season. You've seen much. This is probably the most we've seen of Kane of all the seasons. He's included in the storyline. And I just think going forward we're gonna see more of them. And so, but this was the original plan, as we let you know from when we first started this. This all has to do with the former showrunner Courtney Kemp and her plan, where she, as we went over before, always wrote an alternate ending or two.
Right.
To
alternate
her
stories.
scenarios.
Alternate stories.
Yeah, alternate stories.
Many times, as we explained in our first one, you got to go. We'll make sure we put the links in the bio part, in the description part. When many times when you do series and you set up, you're building a world, and world building, you have different types of storylines originally, and then they change because for whatever reason. In
Right.
Courtney Kemp's case, she probably had a number of reasons. In fact, once she decided she was going to branch off the Power universe, you have one plan, and then that always changes. It never stays the same.
Knowing her, she probably saw somebody, guessed what was going to happen, and then she got all in her feelings and changed things like she normally does, like she always does.
And if you read or if you listen to our past shows on the original plan, you'll know by now that we always come with receipts and logic. That is our always, thing that we bring to the table. That's our guidelines for people. You could do your own research and stuff like that, and come back and comment on here and let us know what your theories are. And like we said before, we always kind of have to say it. These are uh these are scenarios that may or may not have, but we're going to say they have, was plotted from the beginning. We do have connections and people that we know that may or may not have worked.
For power. Still be working for power.
Still working, right? May or may not still be working for the Power universe. We know several writers that have at one time or another worked in the Power universe, and that's where we're going to leave it because we don't want to step on anybody's toes, get anybody in trouble. But we are going to supply to you the original plan for the character of Kane. Okay, so we already know Kane Tajada, aka Lorenzo Tajada Jr. This all kind of starts with Monet. It starts and ends with Monet. So we'll start there with her. So Monet Tajada, as we know, she had the scandal that was brought in with Zeke being her son. With
she was originally Monet Stewart.
Yeah, that was her maiden name at the time. And so she's from that area, from Queens. And like I said, they have that new scandal with her, Zeke, blah blah blah. That was something else that was added later. So the bottom line is, Monet and Lorenzo, it's stated a couple places. They might have mentioned it in one of the shows. It's stated on one of the sites. She married Lorenzo Tajada in 1999.
Right.
Okay. Well, right out the gate, we're gonna hit you with some facts right out the gate. Or it clearly states in that episode with Kane's mugshot that Kane Tajada was born in 1997.
Right. It
Right.
says.
So that's what it says. Now I don't know. Well, yeah, it's there, and we'll put the screenshot up. You guys can
Which we
see.
have to question them about again because
Hmm.
of the whole scene. We'll get that. We'll get to the
Yeah.
whole scene when Diana blew everything up
Hmm.
and Kane. He said something totally different. So I think that came down to them not connecting their dots properly. They didn't really They didn't really know and wasn't sure about how Raising Kanan was gonna
Right.
be perceived
Yeah.
because it is a prequel.
It's a prequel.
And once everyone's seen Kanan die already,
Yeah.
on top of that, you got Ghost coming, like
Right.
Tariq starring in a new show. And then they have Raising Kanan come. So people wasn't sure. She wasn't sure of how people was going to perceive Raising Kanan. So in order to secure that she would get an audience that was watching Power, that from the old OG Power, she
Hmm.
was going to
Try to
connect
connect.
all those characters to
Yeah.
Raising Kanan.
Raising Canaan. So originally, when they planned on doing Raising Canaan, her original plan for that was, like you just said, connect all of the, not all of them, but a lot of the main power
Right,
stars to young. This is why, if you guys are wondering why they played that episode they played that clip at the end of Power that showed a young Tommy and a young Ghost and a young Angela talking about Kanan. They never showed them because I don't even know if they had their Kanan casted yet.
right,
Um, but that was supposedly part of the original plan. You were actually going to see these young version of these characters
right,
much sooner than we haven't seen them yet. They haven't even mentioned. He hasn't even met them yet
right.
in the storyline. But
Yes, she was going
originally,
into season
yeah,
3.
originally he was supposed to meet them earlier, and it was going to be young versions of Tasha. It's going to be young versions of Monet Stewart or whatever.
Yeah,
So
she was
characters from
Tasha Green.
right. She's Tasha Green, Monet Stewart. Now you have to understand this. When you're trying to connect a universe, it would only actually should have kept it that way. It only made sense because is it really fair to say that these guys were so big drug dealers and nobody knew about each other? That's just not that doesn't make
Not
sense.
realistic. I
I
mean,
mean, we
even
knew I
back
knew
in
yeah,
the
I
'90s,
didn't
where
even
there was a bunch of drug dealers around the neighborhood, and if there's a big drug dealer in Hempstead, and there's another big drug dealer out in Suffolk County,
they
they
knew.
knew about each other.
Of course they
They may
did.
not know each other personally, but they at least knew about each other or may have bumped into each other.
Right.
So
Because you in the same game, there's no way that if you in Queens is only but so big. If you're in
right,
Queens and you a hustler, so they never ever mentioned, and this is why you don't think it's coincidence. They never ever mentioned Kanan Stark. Kanan, his family ran Queens.
yep,
They ran Queens. So I mean, let's be honest here. I'm sure in the original plan they probably was going to mention them and things like
they
that,
were
but
gonna do.
right. And so that's one reason right there that you have to scratch your head and say, why is that?
Remember, receipts and logic.
Read
That's
the
the logic.
logic. And there's the logic behind it there. You're like, why is that? You want the receipt for it? I mean, like I said, just look it up. Here's another receipt. During season 1, there was an episode where Monet is talking to Diana, and she basically says, you were a good kid growing up. You was always good to me. You was always good to Kane. Now, why would you say something like that
Right. Isn't
to
she supposed to be good to Kane? That's her brother.
that's
She
a
didn't say
brother?
you were always good to me, you were always good to Drew. She didn't
Right.
say Drew. She said you were
Yeah.
always good to me, you were always good to
Good to
Kane.
Kane. So I mean, and as far that's a receipt. You can go find that for yourself.
Right.
Look at season 1. Logic. Well, logic is even easier if you think about the logic for us. The fact that they call him Kane.
Right.
I mean,
If he's
the
Lorenzo Jr., why don't they call him Junior? Why don't they
Junior.
call him Zoe? Or they
No.
call him Lorenzo. I
Yeah.
mean, LJ, Lorenzo Jr.
Something.
That's the logical thing.
That's the logic
Kane,
behind it. Now, Courtney Kemp addressed this stuff, and I'm sorry, it
I don't
just was
believe her.
not believable. She just
Right.
said, "Oh yeah," she said something
Something
really
about you
dumb.
used to walk with a cane or
You
used
know,
to light
yeah,
candy cane. She said something
out
that
of
did
the,
not make sense.
they just called him Kane out of
Yeah,
nowhere.
they just called him Kane. Why? Why would
Why?
they call him
They
Kane?
call him Kane.
Because he sold cocaine? Like,
And let's be honest. Let's take it even a little deeper. And we know, okay, you have the what are their culture? What's their culture? Are they supposed to be Puerto Rican? What are they? I don't know
yeah,
what
they're
their
supposed to be
background.
Puerto Rican,
So I mean, Puerto
Dominican, and
Ricans,
Puerto Rican.
whatever they are, I'm not sure, but those cultures, yeah, they may have little nicknames for each other, but that just don't make sense. Like what the type of thing like that. The only people I know that do that culture wise, especially is in the South. The South, you will have, if you're from the South, like the deep South or whatever, you will have a nickname that has nothing to do with your name. Like that, they do that all the time. That is not done in New York City. That is not done in New York. Where you gonna have, I'm sorry, we're from New York. That is not done in New York. I don't care what culture
Right.
it is. You know, so you gonna all suddenly just call this guy Kane because he used to walk with a cane or whatever she said. I
I
can't
forgot
even.
what she said because I didn't believe her.
It was
The,
comical. It
the
was
bottom
comical.
line is, Monet is saying those things to Diana
Yeah.
because Kane is their half brother.
Half brother.
Bottom line,
Bottom line. When
Kane
she came,
was already there
yeah,
when
when she married
when
Lorenzo,
she
she
married
already had
Lorenzo.
Kane. Yeah, when she married Lorenzo, she already had Kane. Now, I guess you could, from that point on, you can pretty much put two and two together of why his name is Kane because
Right.
his father is
Was
Canaan.
Kanan Stark.
Canaan Stark. That was
That's
his
like I
father.
said, that was the original plan. That's how it should have been.
Yeah,
Monet Stewart
yeah.
linked up with uh Kanan Stark,
Mm-hmm.
and he got her pregnant, obvious, and
Yeah.
pretty much was not in the child's life. He was
I
saying
don't
that,
think he even knew
yeah,
that she was pregnant. I'm not even sure if he knew. I think because he was at the same time he was messing around with the woman who turned out to be
right,
Sean's mother. He
right,
was like messing with her at the same time. I think that was his girl, but Monet might have been a pop. you
right.
know? So Monet did not choose to tell him. And by the time 1999 came around,
She had already met
she
Lorenzo.
met Lorenzo. That's when they got married.
Yeah,
And
and
then
Lorenzo was
Kane
willing to
goes to
wife him
jail.
up with the kid. So she was like, ain't no need to be ever telling this dude.
Right. And then Kane goes to jail. Anyway,
Right.
around that same time, he ends up going to jail. So,
So
um,
ironically, if you've seen our other breakdown,
right.
so Kane and Reek are half brothers.
Half brothers
They
because
were
they had,
supposed to
yeah.
be half
So to be half
brothers.
brothers, which would have made this whole thing a little more dynamic. And they were going to go with a whole Cain and Abel backstory type of deal,
Yep.
stabbing each other in the back. They were going to go through that whole. They had a whole thing planned. Also, the part where Monet and Tasha, they knew each other.
They knew each other.
They rewrote that to like they never knew each other. Once again, y'all all from basically Queens.
Yep.
Yes, there's different parts of Queens, but there's no way. I was not a drug dealer. I wasn't a street dude, but I knew a whole bunch of them, and my family was. There's no way. I could ask my cousin, rest in peace, about anybody in Queens that was doing anything.
Right.
All the way, you talk about Nicki Minaj's husband. Like
Right.
you could ask him about anybody in Queens that he knew about
That was in the streets.
that
And
was in the
knew about.
streets and he knew
And
about.
ironically, that scene where she met Monet, she had originally said, well, Tasha Green.
Yeah.
But because she did the change, remember when she came in, Monet and Tasha never got along.
Yeah.
So and I think Tasha was supposed to be like 1 or 2 years younger than than um Monet, but
Yeah.
she did not like and then that's what made the whole dynamic about Tariq
Right.
when she came in and said, you know, the part about my son, something
Yeah.
like that. And there was there was a scene there where those two men, and there was also originally a scene where she was going to actually go meet up with Tasha, go see Tasha when she was locked up.
Yeah.
Right. So there
Oh
was a
yeah.
whole bunch of the dynamic to me. I mean, you could put down in the comments whether you like it better this way or whether you would have liked it better that way. I think most people would have loved the dynamics of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It would have made for better drama, and just to have that, the fact that, because remember, if you watch our previous video, we did a whole breakdown on the original plan for Canaan, and we did that, and Tariq, we did it with Tariq as well,
Yep.
and we talked about Canaan and Tariq's relationship. So go check that out, and you'll understand. This will click even more. But the whole point that Kane Tajada was basically, I guess, Kane's steward, because they probably never took Stark.
Right.
She probably never took Stark's name, and he took on. Lorenzo did a admirable thing by, he was in love with her. He married her, even though she
Yeah,
had the
well,
kid.
at that time, I think Kane was going on 2.
Mhm.
It was like
Yeah,
1.5 at the
right.
time.
And then the other kid, they wouldn't know if you just lied to them and told them. They wouldn't know that Kane
Right.
wasn't their full brother because he was there
He was
already.
there already. So
So
so I'm not, she said you were here. I believe Diana may have known, and even I think now as they got older, they found out, but they've always treated him, like a full brother. They didn't see half brother, but you can even tell from the interactions
yeah,
Kane would have with Lorenzo. That's the reason why
yeah,
one of the reasons why Lorenzo wanted Drew to take over. Drew's
exactly.
was really his son,
That's his real first
his
son.
real son.
Is Drew. That's why no matter what, even though he knew he didn't agree with Drew's lifestyle, but he's like, he by any means he's saying to himself, but this is he's a real Tajada.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
So
why
I
Kane called him Lorenzo a lot of times,
yeah,
and then the scene where he got him beat up in jail.
right. Gotta be able to jail, because remember the scene where Monet, she runs up on Kane, and then, well, first it was Diane. That's how it happened. He didn't just swing on Monet. It's like Diana came down because they was arguing in each other's face. He's like, "Get off me!" And then she tried to grab. She meaning Monet tried to grab Kane. He said, "Get off me!" And he pushed her, and she fell down. And
Right.
then he tried to help her up. She slapped his hand away. So yeah, from that point on. So what does Lorenzo do? He gets him beat up in jail. Then he leans over to him and clearly says, "Don't ever put your hands on my wife
Right.
again." Now I
Right.
know you Power fans. I know y'all heard that.
Yep.
I know y'all heard that.
And
You
that's
know,
usually what is usually who usually says stuff like that. Stepfathers.
stepfathers.
Yep.
Don't ever put your hands on my wife again. Not on your mother again, which she is his
Right.
mother, but on my wife again. You don't say that. If I had to smack up my son for putting his hands on his mother, and I ain't even married to his mother, I would say, don't ever touch
What the
your
hell's
mother
wrong
again.
with you? Don't ever put your
Yeah,
hands on
put
your
your
mother.
hands on your mother. If that's really your son, you can say, don't ever put your hands on your mother. But he separated himself by
Right.
saying, on my wife
Life.
again.
Yep.
You see? That right there should be enough. We could go ahead and end this, end this
Right. I
right
mean,
now.
listen,
That should be
logic
enough
and
right there.
receipts.
Logic and
And
receipt.
this is
There's your
how it
receipt.
was. And like I said, Courtney Kemp, to me, because of her ego and because she gets all in her feelings on social media, we're gonna do a breakdown on also people look forward to that. We're gonna do a breakdown on the character of Ghost how
Yeah,
she's completely just turned that character
completely turned
to
that
so it
character
can be
around.
villainized.
And not and it wasn't a gradual turn. It wasn't a something like an arc or anything like that. She just completely flipped him in a matter of a half a season, basically.
Right.
Completely changed his character. But before we get to that, so that was the receipt we just gave you. Here's a little more logic. Just look at Kane.
Right.
Look at him.
Does he look
Look
more
at
like
him.
Kanan or does he look more like Tajada,
Lorenzo. Yeah.
Lorenzo?
Now, if you put a man the just logic, we're talking. You put a man the skin tone of Lorenzo and the skin tone of Monet, you'll probably get the skin tone of Drew and Diana.
And Diana.
It's much more
Right.
probability. But what is the probability of you getting a man the skin tone of Lorenzo and the skin tone of Monet, and you get
The
Kane?
skin tone of Kanan.
Yeah, right. You get the skin tone of Kane in. You
Right.
get Kane. So there's your logic right there. But yet, of course, people want you to believe that because he played with a cane,
Right.
they just called him Kane. Yeah,
Well,
okay.
he was dark skin.
He was a kappa or whatever.
Yeah,
He
he's
was in
not even the
college. He used
same
to do. He was
complexion
a
as
stepper.
any of his parents.
Who was the ones that used to do the canes? Which one of those
The Kappas,
fraternities?
yeah, I think
The
the
Kappas.
Kappas.
Yeah. The Kane was a kappa in college.
He was
That's
the
why they call him
Kappas,
Kane.
even though he never went to college.
So that's pretty, that this one wasn't a real long one. That's pretty much the gist of it. So now what did they change? Obviously, I'll say this. The Zeke storyline was not originally
Was
part of
not
the original
originally
plan.
there.
That was not part of the original plan. And
That's why that story's all over the
that's
place.
why the
That's why
story's all messed up.
half the fans think Zeke's older, half the fans think Kane. And
Yeah.
Kane even said in the show, so you mean this nigga's your
Yeah.
firstborn and not me?
Once again, logic and receipts. Why would he say that if they didn't change his dialogue? Why would he
Right.
say that? Because it clearly says receipts, clearly says on 1997 he was born. So that would make him older than Zeke. Because she
Right.
says he was born in 1998.
Right.
So if he's born in 98 and Kane was born in 97, why would Kane say, so he's your older son, not me? Because it was changed.
And she in here changing stuff so much she can't even keep up with her original script.
Original stuff. So Zeke character was supposed to be in the show, but not this scandal, this whole thing with Mecca. And Mecca wasn't even a character in the original plan. He wasn't
Right.
even supposed to be in there.
Wasn't
So
supposed to be
then,
in there.
sometimes they get, they start changing things up. You write yourself into a corner. Now you got to start doing all of this stuff to justify what
Right.
you did, what you wrote from before, when the actuality is you should have just kept it the original way. Yeah.
Yep.
But
Zeke originally, once they added him, he was supposed to get killed.
yeah.
Because remember that was going to be their way out,
Mhm.
and he was her nephew,
A meal
and
ticket.
right, and he was going to eventually get killed out of the show, but they did have him, he had him messing with the
Yeah.
teacher,
All that
but
stuff is fine, but he wasn't this whole storyline with him being, it was to me,
son, they
it's a
just
little
added that.
That's a little soap opera-ish to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like
So all this time you were
right.
4 years old and so you were in the kindergarten and people didn't pick up that you were 9 years
Yeah.
old that you were
Exactly. When exactly did she decide to lie to him about his age? When did she know he was going to be a basketball star? Like, well, like that doesn't
right,
make sense. You know what I'm
right,
saying? It's just too many loose ends. Too many loose ends. So when did you? At what point in Zeke's life you decided to, or actually he was raised by whatever her sister, whoever raised him. What at what point did you just say lie to him about his age? And why? What's your rationale behind that? If you, like you said, if you're 4 years old, or you're saying you're 4 and you're really 8,
right.
like why would it? Come on now. So where does that jive in this whole situation? How was you able to pull that off?
Right.
And how was this dumbass nigga able to not figure it out?
that he was older all this time?
Yeah.
Crazy.
So there's your dollar, there's your logic, and there's your receipts. You can check them out all you want. It's buzzing all over the internet
Right.
about Kane's age. Now they don't. Now that's flying around.
Yep.
Is he actually older than Zeke, or is he? But they said it out dialogue out their mouths that Zeke is older than Kane.
Yep.
So I mean, now who do you believe? Now, don't be surprised if Courtney Kemp pops up out the weeds to try to
Yep,
clear up
that's because
what.
she sees all this stuff going on,
Yep,
and she it means a lot to her to the way she perceives on social media. She always pops out. This is the loudest what's it called?
showrunner.
Creator. I don't even know who these screen runners are. She's the loudest screen runner I've ever seen. She comes up now. She sees that it's trending and sees people are questioning it. So she's gonna pop up out the weeds and do a live or something and say, "Okay, let me explain the Kane situation." She
Yeah,
gonna have it. She went and got her. She probably getting her story together right now.
yeah, because you got some splaining to do. Because
Right.
if it was clear caught on camera that Kane's birthday on his mugshot was October 17th, 1997. All right. So then if what you call it, Zeke's birthday was in 98.
Hey, was Diana clearly said it was
Yeah,
clearly on the birth
yeah,
certificate.
yeah. She clearly said that. It's on the birth certificate. And then as a result of the year, Kane turns to his mother and says, "So he's your oldest son and not me."
Right.
So how do you explain that? That is clearly an error. There's no
An
explanation to
error.
that. There's no explanation to that. That is a plot. That's what's called a plot hole, people, that
Right.
they did not fill.
And that's what happens when you start fiddling with the script and then you be forgot to change something.
Yeah. Same as we explained in our previous ones. Dialogue sometimes doesn't change, it stays the same. So let us know your comments, what you think. Do
Right.
you believe this? Do you, like we always ask, would you have rather seen the original plan, or do you cool with the way it is? So yeah, I was gonna say, you cool with people lying to you?
Right.
But the way it is, I mean,
Are you
obviously,
cool with Courtney Kemp making you feel like a fool and
right?
thinking that you're a fool?
Yeah. I
Or
mean, the
you like
bottom
the
line
way it
is
is?
sometimes, and then for all you people out there that make comments like, "Oh, it's just a TV show." Well, guess what? Art imitates life, right? So when you create characters, you're supposed to build real characters. You're supposed to give them real birth dates. You're supposed to give them real this, real that. You're building a world, and
Mhm.
maybe I can't speak for and put words in her mouth, but maybe she feels that the Power Universe fans aren't smart enough to figure this out.
Yeah.
you
Or
know,
yeah, or
and
I'm trying to figure it out. Or you know what? It
they're
doesn't
gonna
matter.
accept
Well,
it.
I'm just gonna tell them whatever. They'll believe. They're gonna stay. They're loyal. They're gonna stay to it. So
Yeah. Or
it's
just
one.
don't
It's one of
expect
those
us
two
to
things.
research. But when you are, a person who appreciates good storytelling, you're gonna do the research and find that out. That ain't, and if you're one of those people out there, don't let anybody make you feel crazy for doing it. As
Right.
long as you say, "Hey, I like good storytelling, I'm into the story, I want to do my research." The research is out there. And then one last thing before we go, there are sites out there. There used to be a site out there that had all their ages, and mysteriously, it's
Uh
gone.
huh.
It's gone. There was a site out there called the Power Universe Wiki, and it's still there. The site is still there, but there was a
All the
part that
ages are
page,
taken
right,
off
all the
out of the
ages,
blue. What a coinky dink.
yeah, ages and birth dates have been scrubbed from that site. So you take it how you want to, and let us know what you think in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not, and share this with your friends. And we'll be
Definitely.
back with another version of the original plan. We got a few more. We got a bunch of them,
Yeah,
actually.
we got a bunch
And
of
you
more.
just wait till we get to the one about Ghost. Oh, Lord. So,
Oh,
yo, it's the Clock Brothers, Wes and Hev, and get
yes,
back
sir.
at us. Yep, get back at us next week when we drop you another breakdown of the original plan, Power Universe. Peace.
Right. Peace.